Thanks for visiting my channel and checking out the 7th in my series of one skill build videos. This time around, I'm going to get a little nostalgic. Seasons ago, when rogues were good, Andariel's Visage was a key component of a number of builds, namely based around basic skills like Heartseeker and Puncture. So, with Andariel's Visage falling out of favor the past few seasons, it got me to thinking if those old builds could still compete even today. So, I decided to try out a single skill Torment 4 run using only Puncture. And guess what? It's still as solid as ever. So let's take a look at the gear I used for the run. First off, the key component of my build, Andariel's Visage. Puncture is a great skill to pair with a helmet like this thanks to the fact that the modifier, Fundamental Puncture, lets me fire off more blades per attack. Also, when 2 of these extra blades hits an enemy, it procs vulnerable. But we can't overlook the most important aspect of this helmet, the Poison Nova. With a very high lucky hit chance, I'm going to be proccing Poison Nova pretty much with every single attack, which means I'm just upping my damage even more. Not surprisingly, the Shroud of False Death is my choice for chest armor. The all stats is a nice boost to my overall damage, as is the extra bit of max life I get from the fix. I could have probably swapped this out for some other different ancestral legendary, but I felt the Shroud was solid enough choice for this run. For my gloves, I chose the Fists of Fate, namely for that nice buff to lucky hit chance. Since a good chunk of my damage is coming from the Poison Nova from Andariel's Visage, having a high lucky hit chance increases the chances that Nova is activating. Plus, the extra boost to attack speed translates to straight DPS, and the extra critical strike chance doesn't hurt either. Lastly, while it's a bit random, the chance to deal 295% more damage from the aspect, it just adds on even more damage. For my pants, I didn't go too crazy, mostly just opting to farm a pair that had a greater affix for Puncture, so that I could squeeze out some more extra damage. The Umbrous aspect was also very important as it lets me generate Dark Shrouds when I didn't have the skill actually equipped, which is just another fun example of how there are tons of workarounds for skills and other kinds of things when you go for a single skill build. While Andariel's Visage was doing a lot of load lifting for the kind of damage I was dealing mainly from the Poison Nova, I was also looking at ways to deal other damage on top of that poison. And boots like Penitent Greaves are always a solid choice, given the fact that they add on a ton of chill and freeze damage. The chill slow potency greater fixed was a key aspect of this build because not only was I poisoning enemies, but at the same time I was freezing them in place so they could take even more damage. Also, the extra movement speed is always a big boon too. The faster I can move, the faster I can attack. It's always a key aspect of these builds. For my main weapon, I chose a bow for the extra critical strike damage implicit, with tempering on puncture projectiles, casting twice, and buffs to damage per every Dark Shroud that I had active. The rapid aspect translated to straight up attack speed, which in turn translates to more raw DPS. My first offhand weapon, as with most basic skill builds, was the Shard of Veritiel. The big multiplicative boost to basic damage from the item aspect, it's hard to say no to. In the attack speed boost and extra ranks to basic skills means I'm getting more DPS for every single attack. So, for runs like this, the Shard is an absolute must. My second offhand weapon, naturally, was the Azarath. Synergizing with my Penitent Greaves in its chill freeze potency, the Azarath was an integral part of the build and allowed me to basically just keep freezing every single enemy that I went up against. My amulet, like with most of these single skill builds, ends up being a bit unimportant, which is kind of funny considering that for normal builds, amulets end up being really, really important. The main focus for me was the affix to help me make enemies vulnerable, so that I was maximizing the damage that I was dealing, and also the max life and max damage tempers per active Dark Shroud. The aspect of adaptability was key too, since it upped my damage based on my resource, and since I was using Puncture, and Puncture doesn't use resource, every single attack I had was dealing as much damage as it could. Again, as with most builds of this type, the Ring of Starless Skies is a mandatory choice, largely thanks to its 3 main affixes: attack speed, critical strike chance, and lucky hit chance. All of those are making sure that I was attacking faster, getting more DPS, proccing Poison Nova, proccing freeze and chill. It's just an important part of any kind of build like this. Unfortunately, the aspect doesn't come into play, but sacrifices have to be made. My last ring was a bit of a throwaway, and I never really temper more than 1 affix to a ring during a basic skill run. But the 1 affix I did have was pretty useful, again, giving me more damage per every single Dark Shroud that I had active. The aspect too helped to make sure that I was squeezing out a little bit more elemental damage for both chill potency and poison. So that does it for my gear. Overall, I found this puncture only run to be a lot of fun, and it made me pine for the days when Andariel's Visage was a key part of many meta and endgame builds. But even with the state of Andariel's Visage today, Puncture is still a very solid skill, and probably one of the easier basic skill runs that I've done so far. But, let's take a look at the Torment 4 pit run to see how it operates in action. And thanks again for tuning in, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more challenge run and off-meta build videos. Thanks a lot.